Now tell me how many people are with me, or in if suppose I want to come on a chat,
23 till now, 24 participants are there.
but if I want to visualize on my side, then which option I have to go? Shall I keep this only? Let it be.
Yeah.
That is better. You should not disturb the talk
Yes.
in between, I feel.
Yes.
So anyway, Sagar, now I'm going to start the presentation.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So good evening, all of you, all my dear friends. I definitely wish you should be all safe at your places, and hope this corona should go as early as possible. But still, I'll thanks this all Alembic team, Vivek Borse, Sagar Solanki, Vijay Pal, and all these people. They are taking such a good efforts to communicate with us, with each other, because since 1 month we are not facing each other, or we are not getting any communication with our friends. So today we are going to see the genitourinary diseases and how they are responsible for sexual dysfunction and infertility. Why this important topic we have chosen? As a routine urological practice, we come across so many cases of this urinary tract infections, upper tract infections, lower tract infections. But what happens when you are examining the patients? When, for example, especially whether in male or females, when they present with lower urinary tract symptoms, and when you go for the treatment, at that time, only by treating the urological element, you cannot go to the result, because always genitourinary system is a combined by developmentally, by naturally, both urogenital system, they are formed together, so they are supposed to expose for the cross infections, infection of genital tract to the urinary tract, or urinary tract to the genital tract. And in such a situation, what happens, if you are concentrating on only one system, or if you are concentrating on only one partner, then it's so many times difficult to bring these things under control, and indirectly the people present with sexual dysfunction and infertility. So one by one today we'll see how and which types of diseases they are affecting. We are categorized, especially these in 4 categories. It's a big range, you can see, but still in this maximum on our time, we will cover all categories with the important elements, especially what we'll see, the congenital genitourinary anomalies and sexual function. How these anomalies, or which are the anomalies which affect sexual function, and indirectly it affects the fertility also. Second part comes urinary tract infections and diseases which are affecting fertility and dysfunction. Next one comes secondary to post-surgical complications, because in day-to-day work, all treatments which are required, we'll see later on one by one, how they affect your sexual and infertility. And lastly, because this neurological system is the main system which governs all these systems of your body, especially when neurological system is affected, how indirectly it affects the genitourinary system, and of course by affection of genitourinary system, how it leads to sexual dysfunction and infertility. Will go one by one. Now here I enlist these few very important common anomalies which are responsible for sexual dysfunction as well as infertility. I have enlisted these conditions: cryptorchidism, myelodysplasia, hypospadias, penile curvature, posterior urethral walls, Prune-Bailey syndrome, and epiphyseal ectopy complex. When we are treating these patients, actually these anomalies, when they come to us, the parents are mostly panic one, and at that time we are just behind to overcome that situation, condition of that pathology. But in long term effect, if this child grow up in future and when they become adults, so what will happen to their fertility, what will happen to their sexual life? About this, the parents are too much panic. But still, friends, now we'll see one by one how to overcome with this, what are the incidences, and how we can, if you treat it at proper time, then we can get a very nice and good results. This cryptorchidism means undescended testis is a common abnormality of male endocrine gland in children. It's about in 3.4 to 5.8% in newborns, and if it's a premature one, the incidence goes to higher up to 30%. The unilateral cryptoid testis is common, but bilateral undescended testis also is in 1.6 to 1.9%. I'll tell you in 75% of undescended testis, descent in first 3 months is common. So for 3 months you have to wait because the hormonal changes which are occurring in the body, they are responsible for its again descents, but not more than 3 months. Some peoples in European countries, especially it is tried, we are not trying that much commonly, the hormonal therapy, which is a less effective and less than 20% people it is working. Now, what is the gold standard? Surgical orthopexy, the gold standard. By laparoscopy also we can go with that. Especially what I'll tell you here, when you are operating in early childhood, then and then only in future you didn't come across the problem of infertility or sexual dysfunction. In routine practices, in next pathology we'll see how there is a combination of the pathies. Now next to that, we'll see congenital penile curvature. What is there in congenital penile curvature? It is not a total as a separate entry also, but sometimes associated with hypospadias or epispadias with chordae. Now, as we are discussing at present about congenital things, I'll tell you one thing. At present, at young age also, due to some type of trauma, due to penile fractures, and due to formation of a Peyronie's plaque before marriage also, because at present the marriages are happening quite late. So in my practice I have seen the patients with a curvature of a penis due to Peyronie's plaque, but that is a separate entity. About in short I'll discuss about it in later, but at present I'll tell you common curvature is on ventral aspect. The dorsal or lateral curvature also they exist. Chordae caused by skin tethering, or you can say it as a web penis. Again, by fibrosis or a deep penile fascia. Now, disproportional corporal tissue development also. What happens so many times? The corpora, one-sided corpora is atrophy, and due to that atrophy, there occurs deviation, or you can say corporal inequality. If untreated, it affects vaginal penetration. You might be probably feeling when adults they are coming to, especially I'm practicing on andrology and sexology. When I see the patients, there are so many patients even after marriage they are unconsummated. Even 1 to 2 years they are presenting to me. They have not came across the contact, and directly they could go to the doctor and say, I am facing the problem of infertility. History taking is very, very important, in which we must ask, because so many times what happens, they hide the history, or sometimes only single person come for the purpose of consultation. So I always tell the couple should be there, because unless they both are together, we cannot get the proper history. So what is the treatment of these curvatures? You have to treat the surgical correction, gives a good result. Means if it's a web penis, you have to take out that web penis by reconstructive surgery. You can release it. You can release the chordae. So many times hypospadias is present without chordae or with chordae also. And preserved erectile function, we have seen in 92% of cases, you can see it's a very, very good result. If suppose this is it adult, you can say the adult person is going for the marriage, and at the age of 22, what happens? There are so many times micro fractures of the penis, and they go unknowingly, or so many times due to harsh masturbation, there occurs small hematoma formation, and when after 6 months or 1 year, they present with the angulation and deviation of the penis. Now I'm going to come about how, apart from surgical, the injections of platelet-rich plasma therapy, which is called as a P-shot therapy, that I'll discuss later. There I will tell you how in adults we treat this curvature of the penis. Now hypospadias is the commonest, you can see is a common anomaly in which common congenital malformation in males with the abnormal ventral opening of the urethral meatus with ventral penile curvature. The fertility is possible when it is a distal or subcoronal hypospadias. But most important, proximal hypospadias with urethral meatus at penoscrotal junction or perineum requires multiple surgeries. Hypospadias repair in childhood gives less psychological and sexual disturbances in adulthood. Surgery gives good results with no sexual or fertility problems. Friends, in practice, I'll tell you, the awareness in India or our places is on so much lesser side. Even if educated patients also come to me, I have seen the engineers, I have seen the very well educated before going to marriage, means total division of a urethra, you can, it's a penoscrotal hypospadias. Even I have operated before they are going for the marriage. See, imagine it, leave the pediatric or childhood group, means so many times if parents are alert, they come to you very earlier. But in adults, those who are reaching the marriages, I have seen they are very badly disturbed psychologically when they come, that their girlfriend or their other family members comes to me. Even these people are reluctant for the marriages, or they are depressed so badly because due to cardio of penis is a very short and it's a curved penis, and they feel that after doing surgery, whether I will perform the activity or not, whether I will get the fertility or not, because this is associated with the undescended testes also, or the testes are small or atrophic. But anyway, at what time they are presenting, you have to treat them. And again, this is one of the most important cause, because proper deposition of a semen inside the vagina, if they fail, again it become a common cause of the infertility. Now, ectopy epispadias complex, it is not that much of common, but still for our knowledge purpose, we should know it. Epispadias is an abnormal dorsal opening of a urethral meatus located between glans and penopubic junction. Now, following surgical reconstruction, males face lifelong problems of sexual and reproductive functions. Problem with ejaculation is persistent after surgical repair also, because due to the dorsal defect, sometimes the defect of entry abdominal wall, defect of the bladder neck, defect, sometimes it's a cloacal pose. So stage surgery, multiple surgeries requiring CIC, there is incontinence sphincter, and psychosexual dysfunction observed in 41 to 85% in post-pubescent males. In contrast to male, girls have normal fertility after surgical enlargement of introitus. So this is also one of the entity which can cause the erectile dysfunction, as well as it can cause a infertility also. Now this is one of the common congenital anomaly all of us we are facing: posterior urethral walls. So you all know about posterior urethral walls when we are treating, even if we treat them in early stage. But what is the fate of these children when they become adults? What happens with them? So always take a fast history when they are in adult stage. They come to you with the erectile dysfunction and infertility, because see, when they become adult, then only they come across such a situation. Unless and until you don't come across. So posterior urethral walls are obstructive tissue folds of the prostatic urethra. Despite early surgical intervention, long-term urinary tract damage affect renal function, urethral and bladder smooth muscle function also, and sexual function also. Infertility is attributed to hyperprolactemia up to 62%. Ejaculation is slow or absent in 40% of men. The semen analysis specially shows increased liquefaction time, abnormal sperm agglutination, and immotile sperm. So again, one additional thing, we can see this Crohn-Bailey syndrome, not so common, but one of the cause of, you can say, infertility and sexual dysfunction. This syndrome of unknown cause with congenital absence or hypoplasia of abdominal wall musculature with a large hypotonic bladder, dilated tortuous ureters, and bilateral cryptorchidism. Infertility is more common because due to this bilateral cryptorchidism, later on when they become adult also the testes are atrophic, and due to that so many times following bilateral follicular stiffness or cupexy in childhood gives puberty fertility and normal sexual function. The bilateral arcuplexy in late childhood results in sexually active but infertile men. In such cases, then ARTs, assisted reproductive techniques. Either you have to go for IVF or you have to go for the XC, but in such cases, either we're going to see it later on by TISA, by PISA, or by exploration of the testes. You have to go ahead with the extraction of these sperms. In few cases, recently what we have tried to doing it using a T-shot. By taking these platelets, we activate these platelets and then we inject inside the testes so that in few cases we came across this all maturation arrest or any problem with this germinal epithelium. Some patients, they can produce a normal sperms. In such a cases, motility is not important over here because only head of the sperm also can cause fertility. So we have to just isolate that head of the sperm with a normal DNA inside of that for the purpose of fertility. So next condition we'll see about myelodysplasia. These are the neurological conditions, and how in next topic I'm going to tell you how neurological other systemic diseases and these conditions also affect on sexual dysfunction and infertility. What is myelodysplasia? It is a abnormalities of the vertebral column that affects spinal cord function, especially if it's a meningocele in which meninges but not neural elements extend beyond the confines of the vertebral column. If it is a myelomeningocele, the neural tissue produced with meningocele. After multidisciplinary management by microsurgery or that all we did it, these patients are reproductively active. The fertility and sexual function in males is related to the level of motor and sensory defect, because it's motor and sensory defect. They are mainly responsible for the erection and ejaculations also. If suppose that lesions, it depends on the lesion where it is, then how it is extended. So neurological level below L3 have normal sexual function. By operating them microsurgically and observing the level, definitely, because this problem they will not come across in their childhood. In adulthood, this history is very, very important when we are treating in different ways. Now we are going to see one by one treatment also. But to conclude here, this is only first part. This part is not finishing because I am presenting in three parts. In this conclusion of this all congenital anomalies, congenital genitourinary abnormalities contributes to sexual dysfunction. With appropriate early recognition and treatment, excellent results can be achieved in terms of long-term sexual and psychological outcome. Improvements of our understanding in pathophysiology, surgical techniques, and advances in assistive reproductive techniques hold promise for the patients affected by the disorders. Now, congenital part we have finished for here, and now we are coming to the second part, male sexual dysfunction and infertility, which is related to neurological conditions, how they are affecting, how we have to treat them. We'll see one by one. Now, normal sexual and reproductive functions depend largely on neurological mechanisms. The neurological defects in men can cause infertility through erectile dysfunction, ejaculatory dysfunction, and semen abnormalities. Pelvic and retroperitoneal surgeries, they also affect these type of function, because commonly we are coming across these pelvic surgeries both in gynecology and in our urological conditions also. So how they affect our radical surgeries, prostatic surgeries, how retroperitoneal surgeries, how they affect, they are also we are going to see one by one. Now diabetes. See, diabetes is a culprit for or a background for all types of diseases, and which affects total genitourinary systems, especially lower urinary tract, and by its affection, how it causes infertility and how it causes sexual dysfunction. That also we are going to see. Now then, congenital spinal abnormalities, that I'm not going to repeat because already you have seen it in the form of this myelodysplasia, multiple sclerosis, and spinal cord injuries. These are the other neurological conditions. Now, in management of erectile dysfunction, overall, here I'll take one review. If suppose such case comes to you, your all these congenital things are over. Now, patient is adult. After becoming adult, it is affected by psychogenic, neurogenic, vascular, and corporal factors. So when this patient presents with you, now it's a very common. The range of peoples which are coming to me, I observe it from the age of 22 years to max I have seen up to age of 85 years. Due to this dietary habits, due to sedentary life, due to different type of addictions, this is all affecting on your personal life, and that is entering and with your sexual dysfunction. So for example, first we counsel these patients. We have to take the history by what way he's affected, whether he's family wise he's affected or psychologically affected. So many times the stress level is so much higher in these all youngsters, so they come across this problem. After counseling, then after rehabilitation, you have to tell them the importance of the exercise, their yoga and pranayam, and what's the important, for example swimming, what's they like it, by why it is important. By any mean, the increase in fat levels in the body, or if you reduce the weight by 10 kg also, in such a cases it changes your hormonal levels, and then definitely automatically it is helpful for improvement your testosterone level. Means after all this, after these also, if suppose that person is still facing the erectile dysfunction, then what we have to do? First we have to go for the medical line of treatment. So what medical line of treatment? A single drug doesn't work in these cases. Basically it requires a combination therapy. Combination therapy in the form of centrally acting drugs. What happens? Direct stimulation from this hypothalamo pituitary gonadal axis, that has to be treated very nicely. The vasodilator drugs here in detail, the mechanism of erection, and in that I'm not going how this AGMP, other things are working, high nitrous oxide is released, how vasodilation occurs. So rather than that, there are very nice drugs which are PDE5 inhibitors, these vasodilators, they are available in market. So we can start these medicines. Along with that, we have to start the centrality acting and inhibiting drug also for premature ejaculation. And commonly it is observed testosterone deficiency, because these all things goes hand in hand. You cannot get an isolated condition. So it's a combination therapy. So we may have to supplement with the testosterone also in the injectable or a patch form. Again, locally acting agents, some people are very much sensitive and they are unable to perform not more than 1 or 2 minutes also. So desensitizers, local applicating agents, we have to give them, or you have to teach them the natural methods like a Kegel exercise or the pinch method or stop start methods. If suppose with this medical line of treatment also they are not responding, what happens? Those people with diabetes or hypertension or some other diseases or with obesity, what happens with these peoples? The neurological changes, the vascular changes which are occurred, which doesn't allow the vasodilation and entry of the blood flow in the corpora. So in that cases, we go for the injection therapy. In these injections, before P shot, I'll tell you in detail here about P shots. Before that, injection therapy, which are vasodilators, especially this papaverine, phentolamine, these drugs are to be tried as far as possible. This drug we try to avoid because so many times the side effect like a priapism that may occur, and in such a cases that patient land up in an emergency and we have to take out the blood and so many complications. So rather than that, we are going ahead with the P-shot injection therapy. What is a common observation with these P-shots? I'll tell you, this is very recently developed things and we did so many cases. We used to take the platelet-rich plasma, means 60 ml of blood is taken from the vein, and that blood we have to centrifuge. We have to take out the platelet-rich plasma outside. We have to activate with that. We have to add the growth factors, and we inject in the corpora cavernosa. It is not to be injected on a dorsal aspect where the nerves are there. So on a lateral aspect, means in between urethra and the dorsal complex, you have to inject it at 6 places. After injecting, what is the mechanism of action of these P shots? It improves or it stimulates neurogenesis, vasculogenesis, and definitely the peoples, those who are not responding to the medical line of treatment, with this type of shots or injections, even they got a change in the girth and length of the penis also, and these medicines start working in such a cases. So these are P-shot therapy. Now those people even who are not responding to P-shot injection also, the final and the best option is a penile implants. What are these penile implants? They are classified in different manner like rigid, semi-rigid and inflatable. These implants are made up of a silicon. This silicon, how it works in semi-rigid implants, especially depend on the IQ of a patient who have to choose the implant, whether it is a three-piece implant, if it is inflatable, or it is a single-piece implant with a hinge implants. What these implants do, these patients have, due to this erectile dysfunction, so many of these youngsters don't go for the marriages also, or even after marriages, they don't go for the consummation also, because after taking history after 1 or 2 years they are taking treatment at so many places, they get fed up and they visit to us. So we have to counsel them very well. Directly you cannot go for implant. If suppose patient comes and say to you, sir, I want to go ahead with the implant, no, you cannot go like that. You have to investigate them properly. You have to see what are the any organic cause. You have to do the total hormonal profile in the form of serum FSH, LS, testosterone and prolactin. After that, colored Doppler of the penis for seeing any weakness, leakage or any other condition. You have to see the condition of the carpor also. And in such a cases, then you have to take the measurements. And after taking measurements, you have different implants in different numbers like 9, 11, and 15 like this. So this procedure is done under spinal anesthesia. Patient has to stay hardly for 2 to 3 days in the hospital. You have to do the carporotomy. After corporotomy, proximal and distal dilation we are doing, and after putting in the implant, we advise the patient or that person not to perform the sexual activity at least for 1 month, because this implant has to be stable. And after treatment, what we do, they are not supposed to sit on a hard object. They should not go for the bike riding or even for driving also. And after 1 month, they are supposed to again visit to the doctor. We tell them how to do the movement, how to conceal the implant, and by this way, even I have operated so many cases after which they have entered in their happy married life in the form of they have got the issues, they have got the children, and all erectile dysfunction is totally clear. Means by with these implants, the people are so happy. Definitely, I'll tell you, this implant is the final resort for erectile dysfunction, and it gives a very nice line of treatment. Now we'll move towards other conditions like a retrograde ejaculation. Now, in combination, this is again one of the important condition where is the detrusor sphincter dyssynergia, means there is a miscoordination. The bladder neck opens. Ideally, what happens? The bladder neck closes at the time of ejaculation, and the sphincter opens, and then pulsatile contraction of the urethra and periurethral muscles. The ejaculation is comes out in a normal fashion. But in retrograde ejaculation, it is managed by medications in mild form. For example, we have to give the medicines like imipramine. And if suppose with this also this retrograde ejaculation is not covered, and for the fertility they are getting problem, in such a cases we go with the bladder harvest of semen after ejaculation in more severe cases. To prevent the affection of quality of a semen, we always advise to empty the bladder. After emptying the bladder, we fill the bladder with the semen supporting elements or some agents, so that even if after retrograde ejaculation, the semen quality should not be affected. Always, when after retrograde ejaculation, when you are emptying the bladder, the silicone should not be used, because the silicone again totally damage the quality of the semen. So plastic catheter are used, and then this semen is used for either IVI or either IUI, or you can go ahead with the IVF also. Again, there are cases with unejaculation, which are again managed by medication in mild form. Then, if suppose by any mean, for they're getting fertility, if they are not getting ejaculation, it is then assisted ejaculation, you can call it as, with the ejaculatory techniques called as a penile vibration stimulation. What is this PVS? In this penile vibratory stimulation, at the glance, you have to apply that vibrator, and by applying the vibrator at glance, from this dorsal complex, this neurovascular bundle, that stimulus goes inside, and at that with this stimulation they can ejaculate, and you can take that ejaculate for the purpose of insemination or for the purpose of your further ARTs. Now, what about electroejaculation? In severe cases, what happens? It is again not possible to ejaculate. So in such a cases, you have to use a special probe. These which are FDA approved probes are available. These probes are faced towards the prostate. By facing towards the prostate, and if you make the currents on, what happens due to electric stimulation? There occurs the ejaculation. This ejaculation comes in the form of the dribbles, and that you have to collect in the dish, and you have to again go out with the either IBI or IBI. If suppose with this also the fertility is not possible, then last option which remains is a surgical sperm retrieval in the form of transepithelial sperm aspiration or transtesticular sperm aspiration, or sometimes we have to do the exploration of the testis and go with the collection of the sample and seeing a sperm for the fertility. Now again, commonest cause. See, which are the other causes? Iatrogenic causes we can tell due to surgery also. By surgery, especially pelvic surgeries or pelvic trauma is very, very common. And this is again one of the leading cause of erectile dysfunction and infertility also. Even so many cases with the trauma we have operated, even if it is told that with stricture you should not go for the implant and all, but by observing proper their follow-up, by doing cystoscopy, if their status and condition is normal, in that cases also you can go for the penile implant. Now what happens, how this erectile dysfunction occurs even by your surgery also, even by your trauma also. Here I'll say you the pelvic trauma and the pelvic surgery that damages the pelvic floor nerves and disrupt neurological mechanisms for erection and ejaculation. This is a very, very important. We can say you cannot separate your neurological system, your this genitourinary system, and the work and output what you are getting is all coordinated with this neurological and this your pelvic organs or pelvic nerve supply. Again, I'll tell you, we are doing this commonly prostatectomies and cystectomies. They cause the nerve damage. Friends, always I'll tell you one thing. Whenever the patient is approaching to you, we are always concentrated on the disease only. We are always behind to remove the prostate, to do radical, then how we can make it margin free and doing all these things. Always I'll tell you, when you are giving a quality life to a patient, a quality life to a person, quality life means that person is living longer without disease. Yes, it is also quality life, but you can add to the quality in more pattern by preserving, because that patient will on himself will not tell you about his sexual life. So always make a habit to ask some history. Always they want, even because all these operated cases, they come to me. Even if I'm telling you now, up to age of 85 years, they are coming to me for the treatment. So at backup, whenever we are doing surgery, whether radical surgery or even TRP, simple transurethral resection of prostate also, either by laser treatment or anything, always keep in mind that man or that person is sexually active, wants to be active for a very long time. So whenever we are operating, keep this in mind. Whenever you are dissecting, his life is most important first. But as far as possible, these nerve preserving surgeries, definitely this RPL not operations you are doing, there you can even rectal surgeries also that you can do it, because he has to maintain his erectile life later on. Because when I see them, see definitely these operated cases also means we have a to Z solution for everyone, either medical, the speech or injectable, or we go for the implant also. But naturally, if you can preserve it, is very, very good for them. This radical rectal surgeries, this periaortic surgeries, this retroperitoneal lymph node dissection in conjunction with the testicular cancer, by affecting how it affects post-ganglionic sympathetic nerves and hypogastric plexus. So as far as possible, whenever you are operating, you should remember to spare the nerves as far as possible. And after this also, if suppose they come across the conditions, definitely can treat it very nicely. Now friends, here I'll enter in diabetes. Diabetes is such a thing, means let it be any system of your body, it is totally affected by that. And especially I'll tell you, diabetes is the main culprit in India. Obesity and diabetes goes in hand in hand. It is combinedly called as a diabetes, and is one of the commonest cause of the even chronic diseases and those patients who are coming to me of a erectile dysfunction. So what diabetes causes? What is the normal levels? All of you know 100 to 110 in diabetes. I am telling you, especially fasting should be between 100 to 110, and post meal should not cross more than 150. Ideally, our renal threshold go towards 180, but we should not keep that target. To maintain your all activities, you should be below 150 after post meal also, because when patient comes to me with an uncontrolled diabetes, whatsoever line of treatment I'm using, it becomes very difficult to treat it. So only one thing I tell the patient, unless and until your diabetes is controlled, the my treatment or my remedies will be acting in a limits. We cannot give maximum result what you want. You have to reduce the weight, you have to reduce the sugar levels, and then only our medicine will work. How things happens, we'll see. Diabetes causes by autonomic neuropathy. How it causes erectile dysfunction? Autonomic neuropathy, which causes erectile dysfunction and ejaculatory dysfunction. And it again causes vascular disease, which is a major cause of ED, where the thickening of blood vessels and the input to the corpora means narrowing of the blood vessels. Here, in short, I'm going to tell you one thing. This erectile dysfunction is taken as one of the parameter or one of the sign where that patient is developing ISD. Means this is a supply towards the heart is also reduced because the diameter of a corporal artery vessel is a smaller one. And all cases which are coming to you for the angina or for the purpose of the ISD or angioplasty, in these all cases, first his sexual function is affected because there is a narrow vessel, and then the changes started occurring in this heart because these are the larger vessels. So whenever the patient comes to you, always ask this history of erectile dysfunction, and from that you can judge the healthiness of the blood vessels. Now, ejaculatory function in the form of decreased amount of ejaculate to retrograde ejaculation to unejaculation. This is also faced. Semen volume is also reduced. Morphology and motility is also reduced. Again, what happens with diabetes? The increased sperm DNA damage also occurs in diabetes, and that is again one of the reason of subfertility or infertility. Why it happens? It is due to endocrine disruption, which reduces the testosterone production and oxidative stress, resulting in infertility. So friends, here you can see how this diabetes is dangerous, how we have to control it, which is affecting neurological system, which is affecting your genitourinary system, it is affecting your reproductive system. So this is the reason why when you are treating as a patient perceive for ED or infertility, his basic condition, neurological condition, and his diabetic condition has to be maintained nicely. Now here I am concluding, and only one last part is remaining, which I will finish within 15 minutes. So what is the conclusion? Neurological disorders cause infertility through erectile dysfunction, which causes even psychological stress also. Here I am telling people so many cases of depression, so many cases of divorces, so many cases of suicides. These all are coming across this erectile problem. So many times we always run behind the disease. But a normal healthy man, a normal healthy person, when he is affected psychologically, when affected by his personal life, when he is affected, here is the affection of not one person, here is the affection of his partner also. In such a cases, when you are treating as a total family, you are treating as a total partners to stop these conditions unless and until you concentrate on treating this big entity. That is the reason why I have taken, because we have also operated so many cases of this urological operations, surgeries, and so many things. But so many times these all symptoms which are very important, they are kept aside. Now, sexual function and fertility both can be achieved nicely with the different modalities of treatment: penile implant, sperm retrieval techniques, artificial reproductive techniques give good results in cases with erectile dysfunction and infertility. Now, this is the last part where I'm coming, and I'll finish in 15 minutes. And after that, we'll go for the discussion. What sort of questions you are having? The urogenital infection, because these all three are related to each other. The urogenital infections and which are the risk factors in infertility. Now, infections of genital tract considered the common cause of male infertility with a prevalence of 6 to 10%. See, in day-to-day life, each and every person has to go through this, either female or either male. What is the main cause? Main cause of inflammatory disease of the male genital tract are ascending sexually transmitted infections and uropathogens. And what are the other, due to aging or due to other exposure to the STDs also, sexually transmitted diseases also, is a very big group of diseases here we are not going to discuss, which are causing chronic prostatitis. Even prostatic abscesses also, even stricture urethra also, even we feel the stricture urethra is a small things, but how they affect, we'll see shortly over here. Then acute epididymitis. It's such a simple thing of acute and chronic epididymitis also that causes a very severe sexual dysfunction, because pain is a very bad impulse. Whenever any type of pain in pelvic region or in this penile or testicular region, pain is a negative impulse for your libido also and for your sexual activity also. These infections, this damage to the sperm quality and sperm function also, and that causes dysfunctions of accessory glands which are functioning with that. These seminal vesicles, these testicular glands, and these all are getting affected. Then inflammation is related to the obstruction of male reproductive tract, and after obstruction, that what we are supposed to do, we'll see next over here. They damage to spermatogenesis. The production of membrane-bound anti-sperm and autoantibodies also produced over there. Now, what happens in chronic prostatitis? They present with the pelvic pain, urinary discomfort in approximately 10% of men. In this chronic prostatitis, so many times we have seen the severe frequent or urgency symptoms, frequency symptoms, hematuria, and severe pain. In such a cases, after investigation, if it may require you have to perform the transrectal ultrasound also. You have to start with the antibiotics. Sometimes calcification is there. For calcification, nothing has to be done. And next most important, if suppose it is not get relieved and going towards the abscess, in that cases you have to do the endoscopic release of this transurethral or transition of the prostate. Now, epididymitis or epididymoorchitis. The incidence is how much it is common? 400 men in 1 lakh. Presents with a pain and swelling of testis and epididymis. Friends, I'll tell you one thing. Many times this torsion of testis always go unknowingly. Due to that, what happens? They don't give attention. The parents don't give attention. There occurs sometimes atrophy of testis, and later on, when they are adult ones, unilateral atrophy of testis. This is one of the common cause. Trauma is also one of the common cause in that. How to investigate such a testicular conditions? With complete blood count, where you can see the acute infection. On local examination, we can get a very hard swelling, which is affecting the testes or giving pain. In colored Doppler scotum, you can see the increased blood supply to the testis. How it has to be treated? Most importantly, the rest is important. You have to give the scrotal support. You know, with Maxell support, the Maxell dressing, you have to be given the antibiotics, painkillers, and most important thing, I'll tell you, friends, these patients always ask about the sexual intercourse. At least minimum for 2 to 3 weeks, they have to abstain, because the pain impulse and the movement of these testicles during the thirsting, again, it's keep on aggravating the orchitis. And how much is the minimum period is required for total recovery? You can take it as complete 1.5 to 2 months are required, and after completion of this only, they are supposed to go for the sexual activities. Now, obstruction means there are other causes like a pretesticular, testicular, and post-testicular. So, what are the pretesticular causes? In pretesticular causes, especially the hormones, this hypothalamo-pituitary gonadal axis, which hormones? Serum FSH, LH, testosterone, prolactin. These hormones are very, very important. If suppose you rule out these hormonal problems, then comes to the testicular. In testicular causes, what are the common causes? Atrophy of the testis. Or if suppose you are going for the biopsy, in that cases, you come across maturation arrest, only Sertoli-Sol syndrome, or germinal epithelium is affected. In such a cases, these testicular causes are treated by taking biopsy. You can take the sperm from them also, or if you require, what I have told about the platelet-rich plasma therapy. Then what is the post-testicular? Means from epididymis, when sperm are carried out towards the ejaculatory duct, the vas deferens is blocked due to inflammation. This is again either due to this epididymitis or so many times the recurrent urinary tract infection. In such cases, what is the line of treatment? First thing, you have to confirm with a testicular biopsy whether the sperms are present or not, whether the any mature arrest or any other causes were there, because unless and until you have a normal production of sperm in the testicular biopsy, there is no use of going ahead with this type of vasoepidimastomy or any other types of surgeries. So in short, in conclusion, what I'll tell you, any suspicion of an infectious or inflammatory disease in the male genital tract should prompt a systemic diagnostic evaluation and appropriate treatment. For patients with obstructive azoospermia, the etiology and the site of the obstruction determine the surgical approach to be taken. In the near future, the elucidation of underlying pathophysiological mechanisms and the identification of suitable markers may enable new strategies for conservative treatment. So friends, in short, I'll tell you, here we are ending and definitely we'll go for discussion. But before that, again, I'll tell you one thing. This corona infection is what is the fate of the peoples. If suppose after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, what happened? What will happen? In China, the study is conducted out. In these cases, those who are affected with corona and those who are recovering, they have tested the level. This testosterone and luteinizing hormone ratio is falling down, it's going down, and day by day, these peoples in future may face across erectile dysfunction and even infertility also. So in future, we have to be so much careful. We have to counsel them very well, because due to this disease only, the people has affected very badly, and as it is affecting neurologically also, as if it affecting on the genitourinary system also, we have to be very careful in future in taking the histories, and we have to question them properly about all these details regularly. I used to present, which if you want to again go to some new details, I used to make a live show on the Sam TV. I'm one of the editor for this all YouTube channels also. You can see on every Friday at 11 p.m. the show which is called as Sukhi Jivanacha Mantra in Marathi, and it is an interactive session where we are discussing each and every problem related to infertility and sexual dysfunction. If you want to go offline and see it on YouTube, even if just only you type, you can say, even I have shows in English and Hindi also. For English and Hindi episodes on YouTube, go on to samtv.com, samtv.com, and search for Sukhi Jivan Ka Mantra for Hindi shows, and sex, which is unique formula for happy life. You have to see for the English versions. There are so many YouTube channel links, YouTube links. They are real interactive session, real feedback which you have taken, and Marathi show regularly goes on TV in a live manner. If any doubts, any complaints, you can definitely discuss with me. For this total 1 hour, you have spared your so precious time. So that thank you, Umesh, and thank you very much to my all LMing peoples, Vivek Borse, Sagar Solanki, and Vijay Pal. If you can hear Sagar, now we can have a discussion, or we can open the session for our conversation.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thanks a lot, sir. If
Just a minute,
anyone,
I'm not. You are not audible. Just a minute. Let me to see. Volume. I'm not getting your voice.
okay, sir. Now it is getting, sir.
Now I'm getting it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a. I did it non-stop without any listening, because I don't want to discontinue my talk. That's why.
correct. No problem, sir. So the forum is open now. If anyone is having doubt, you can unmute one by one and you can ask a query.
I feel the afternoon session with a proper lunch, heavy lunch, and all are feeling sleepy. That should not be the condition. No, all have understood all the concepts. Sagar,
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir, clearly.
Yeah. So in a very relaxed manner, as a part of discussion for 10 minutes, we can definitely continue. Or otherwise, we are told we are available online also
Yes.
every time on TVs and YouTube and links.
Correct.
Hmm. Yes, people are they have just at least we want the feedback. What else they want, or on future on which topic we can discuss, or all these things we can discuss with them.
Yeah.
Or then otherwise all have accepted and they felt very nice and they can continue with their routine queries for the next session.
Yes, so if anyone is having any doubt or query, any clarity, you can ask Dr. Vijay right now.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah, I'm getting doctor. You can speak. Yeah.
Dr. Rajesh. It was a nice talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I say presented.
What's your it's
One
there's a
point,
difficulty in getting voice. What's your good name?
Dr. Rajesh Soni.
Dr. Ajay
Soni.
Soni. Okay. You are from where?
Uh,
Nagpur.
Yeah,
Sir, Dr.
Vijay, if
Okay.
you
Rajesh is from Nagpur, sir.
You are from Nagpur. Okay. Just you can ask me any
can you
question
hear me?
related to infertility or sexual dysfunction.
Can you hear me?
yeah, now it is clear,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm getting you. I'm getting you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one point that you
Okay.
were mentioning about diabetes and
Yeah.
sexual dysfunction.
Yeah.
So one of the important factors is drugs also.
Yeah. Definitely.
So patients are
Definitely.
hypertensive and have
Yes.
these heart
Yes.
disease. Lot of
Yeah.
antihypertensives have this problem of erectile
Yeah.
dysfunction, particularly
Definitely.
beta blockers.
Definitely. We have to change the doses and we have to
Yeah,
look at and change the combination also. Good. Very.
Yeah.
It's really
Sometimes
correct.
you have to ask the patient to visit the
Yes.
physician and
Yes.
change the drugs also.
Yeah, even we are told these patients change their lifestyle, reduce the weight, reduce because this hypertension is associated with diabetes also. Yes, very nice suggestion, and we always keep on changing. Means by reducing weight, by reducing blood pressure, even they can lower the doses also. Yes, thank you, Dr. Soni, for giving us such a nice involvement with the talk.
Doctor, there is one more question which has come in the chat box,
Okay,
which
chat
is
box. Okay.
this is telling that please tell in more details of PRP for erectile dysfunction.
Acha. Regarding more details of
PRP for erectile dysfunction.
okay. Platelet-rich plasma therapy. Please tell in more details of PRP for ED.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. See, this PRP is a totally new modality. Up till now, if you'll ask me, the cases which are with the diabetes, the cases which are with the hypertension, and cases which are reluctant or those who are not responding to line of treatment. And again, I'll most important thing I'll tell you, PRP. PRP is a supportive therapy. This is not a kit because always when you are counseling the patient should not feel that ki, if I'll get the injection of PRP, I can all right. No, we have to tell the patient PRP is supporting in such a manner due to loss of blood supply, due to reduced blood supply or reduced sensation towards the penis. There is only one option remaining with us before going for terminal stage like a implant. By injecting these platelets, these are activated platelets, they can, after injecting, they can increase the blood supply to the penis. The rigidness of corpora is also changed. The supply to the penis is also changed. The sensation to the penis, and that too, I have got a feedback from the patients about girth and about length of the penis. They are happy with that. And those patients who are not responding previously, they start responding to this medical line of treatment after the PRP, and we have to give a word of caution to them. With this PRP, if suppose they don't get a result, then the last option which remains, either this vacuum erectile devices or you have to go for the penile implant. So PRP is a supportive therapy to that patient in sexual dysfunction. Okay. Sagar?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Anyone having any query?
अच्छा. Yes. If suppose anybody want to ask about this infertility or sexual dysfunction or something. Okay. Okay.
So there is one question in the chat box.
On chat box. Okay, tell me.
Like, sir, for smokers, if proper treatment is given, their sperm count can come back to normal, or treatment of erectile dysfunction in smokers is possible.
Yes, this is a very, very important question. I'll tell you. Nicotine is such a bad factor. I'll tell you. If you are a chain smoker and if you stop your smoking for 1 week, it changes the quality of sperm. Only 1 week, I'll tell you. Because day by day, when you stop the smoking, even if you reduce the dose, even I'll not say, see, practically, if I'm saying you stop the smoking, right, if you stop the smoking, it doesn't happen practically. It takes time, and day by day, if you do go on reducing, the nicotine really affects the motility and fertility of the sperm. So surely I'll tell you, stopping the smoking not only helpful for your sperm motility, sperm quality, but it is very, very much helpful for treating this sexual dysfunction, the quality of the sex, the hardness of the penis. Definitely it is improved. Count is also improved. So those who are planning for the pregnancy, definitely we advise at least to cease the smoking or reduce the number of cigarettes per day, and definitely it is very much helpful because nicotine, once it goes down, definitely it helps for the motility and improvement of the sexual dysfunction. Yes, Sagar?
Yeah, sir. Now, anyone is having any other query?
Yeah, because I can see the feedback very well. I'm seeing it very nice, a nice involvement of all our peoples, and they're asking the questions, also giving interactions. It's a very, very good session, I'll tell you.
Yes, sir.
If anybody else they want again, either on chat or on discussion, definitely we can solve their queries. But overall response also I can see over here. Sagar, otherwise, how is the audio and visual both are good one?
So audio and visual both were clear during the presentation.
Yeah.
So there was no
Okay.
issue.
Even I'm getting all these questions on this my screen also for asking. So it's a good part, no problem, definitely. So definitely, Sagar, you did a very, I can say, such a activity. Even due to this our Corona lockdown, even I'm again planning to start our shows by on Skype also. Personally, going to Mumbai and to the shows is difficult. But nowadays also they can see me recorded on Friday, where they can get the very good information. But this try what you did is a very excellent one from your side also. I can congratulate all of your team, Vivek, Sagar, and all
Vivek
peoples.
and Vijay both were the main host who drive this thing, sir.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you very much for this. Is a total teamwork. It's possible for us, but you did a very, very nice activity. I can say like this.
Thank you, sir.
So if
Thank you,
Sagar,
sir.
if is there any question, you can just check it in.
Right now, sir, there is no question right now.
Okay, no problem. Then I feel we should go for concluding our session.
Sure, sir.
So okay,
Good evening, sir.
from
This is good evening, sir. This is Chandrakant from Alembic only. At Mumbai,
okay.
I do work.
Acha,
So thank you very much for
yeah.
thank you very much for taking care of this in COVID time and
Yeah.
addressing the people to with right topics. We wanted to
Definitely.
hear more of this kind of topics in future, sir, with you.
Definitely.
Thank you
In
very
fact,
much
in
for giving us such a good opportunity.
in Bombay, we'll meet at Andheri, New Bombay, Nerul, or Dadar. I have 3 centers in Mumbai. When this lockdown will open, I have a center in Seven Hills Hospital. Then I have a center at Dadar also and at Navi Mumbai, Nerul also.
Yeah, yes, sir. I met you.
Acha, we met which place?
Yeah, I met you in one of the workshops.
Acha. Very good. But we'll meet in our hospital now after
Yeah, I'll
lockdown.
meet you physically in coming days, like as soon as the situation normalizes.
In Mumbai also definitely we can meet, because separately now this is a very big topic. I'll say, as we have taken in start, but very